How did Geralt become a foster father of Ciri of Sintra? What was her origin in the books? Following short story explains why the events in Sintra, several years prior to the main books, were so important. The story in Sintra begins at the bath, where Haxo, a servant of Queen of Sintra, briefs Geralt about upcoming important event in which he will take part. A dinner, which the Queen of Sintra holds. He'll be in disguise. Honorable Ravix of Forhorn, not a witcher named Geralt. Once the event starts, Queen Calanthe greets Geralt with a smirk but doesn't immediately tell him the reason why he's attending. In coming moments, there are many important guests of this event introduced. Kutkudak, already a wed man, who claims his wife is sick, Ice Tursach, and Krakon Krite of Skellige, the later one being a nephew of Skellige's king. They also travel with Druid Mousak. From the other notable guests, there are Marshal Visegard, Rainfarn of Aether, and also Queen's Bard, Drogodar. Geralt and the reader understands that all the guests came in honor of Queen's daughter, young Princess Pavera. The feast starts, and then Queen Calanthe has a moment to talk with Geralt. Geralt explains the Queen that he is no mercenary to kill people for politics, since Queen explained to him that the princess this evening needs to pick up a husband who is well suited to be a good husband as a king of Sintra, since the Queen's husband died many years ago. The atmosphere at the table gets lively, with every tankard of beer consumed. The Queen asks Geralt to protect the planned marriage of Pavera with a guest from Skellige. This is all unclear to Geralt, since she doesn't give him any specific instruction how this should be done. Princess Pavera enters the feast and all the men are stunned by her beauty. But she behaves quite shy. Queen passes a sword to Geralt under the table and leaves him to go to talk with other guests. Not before long, when strong footsteps in the armor are resounding outside of the dinner room, a man looking as a knight in a clad armor enters the room with very polite manners. He apologizes but insists he keeps on his helmet and starts to speak loudly to all of the guests in the dining room. His name is Urchin of Erlenwald. He claims that he was on a hunt with King 15 years ago. King sprained his leg and Urchin helped him. He says Queen has to know that he came to collect his promised reward for saving his king's life. He promised him that he can have anything that he finds at home and doesn't expect. In the end, it was his daughter in the belly of the Queen. The Queen gets very aggressive with her speech towards Urchin, and Geralt's medallion starts to vibrate. I will quote a part from the book. "Yes, your majesty, I waited for 15 years, and the interest on my reward has grown. Today, I look at the beautiful Pavera and see that the wait has been worth it. Gentlemen and knights, some of you have come to Sintra to ask for the princess' hand. You have come in vain. From the day of her birth, by the power of the royal oath, the beautiful Pavera has belonged to me." Ice Tursach of Skellige asks Queen if this is true. She says if so, then what? Ice insists this promise needs to be kept. The Queen is all red in face and trembling. After insisting from more of the guests there, Queen tells that she will hold a council the next day. At once, Geralt stands up and starts a speech where he explains that the promise is tied with love by surprise, and that law means that if he wants to wed the princess, she needs to agree with it. That's when Urchin reveals his true origin at midnight. He takes the helmet off, and he looks like a creature. Queen shouts, "Pavetta, do you want to live with this creature?" "Yes," says the princess. The Queen collapses on the throne. Geralt feels a magical force in the hall coming from all the sides. Something is happening. Queen calls for guards to seize Urchin. Then everything happens at once. A huge fight between many of the guests, but mainly aimed at Urchin to kill him. Pavetta starts to lash out huge unnatural cries. Geralt's ears are in pain. Witcher quickly finds the druid Mousesack amongst all the chaos. He shouts on the druid to block the force which is emitting out of the young princess. And they've done it. The green light energy in the form of bubbles pops. Princess falls down on the floor and starts to weep. Meanwhile, Iced stands next to Calanthe and starts to give her kisses. He's glad his secret loved one survived. When the princess approaches Urchin, he transforms into man with a human look named Dunny. Pavetta and Dunny have been seeing each other secretly and fallen in love. Calanthe agrees to their marriage and, having been saved from Pavetta's magical outburst by Iced, agrees to marry him, as it is apparent they had some kind of relationship even before. Thanking Geralt for saving him in the fight, Dunny offers him whatever he asks. Witcher talks about having lack of successors, because they are usually chosen by the shadow of destiny. Geralt invokes the law of surprise, the same law which gave Dunny his claim to Pavetta's hand. Right after that, Pavetta reveals that she's already pregnant, and that means Geralt has right to claim the child in the future. The child which will be known as a Cyrilla of Sintra. Thanks for watching. That's all for this time. Feel free to subscribe, since I'll see you again in a few days with another story about Geralt the Witcher.